from the Ron Miller Race Car Studio, this is the Hammer Down Racing Report. And now your hosts, Scott Hammer and Ron Miller.
Hello and welcome to the Hammer Down Racing Report.
What? Hello? Oh, am I what?
You're not even on the right microphone. Your microphone's over there. There you go. Yeah. This is 2 weeks in a row you've had headphone issues. This would come on in the air.
This would qualify as a certified cluster.
You were trying to untangle those headphones for like 5 minutes. I'm like, you got about 5 minutes for you think you can get it done? Oh yeah. Like we got about a minute. We got about a minute.
I'm here.
It looked like you were ripping wires apart.
You know, that was one pair of headphones. There were 3 sets that were apparently mating all week, and they were all tangled up.
Well, the good news is you can expect a brand new headset in probably 9 months. I don't know what the
maybe Santa Claus.
Maybe Santa Claus. Back to the show. Welcome, race fans.
This is what's left of one of them, Scott. Here.
Well, here's the rest. It's hanging.
You know what? You could take that to Ron Miller Race Cars. I hear he fixes a lot of things.
I fix chairs. I'm not sure I can fix that mess, man.
Wow, you really did.
I got frustrated with it.
All right. Anyways, we're live from the Ron Miller Race Cars studio.
Yeah.
If we weren't live, then we probably would have waited to start the show until he had his headphones sorted out. But coming at you live on Facebook.
But Scott threw me under the bus and said,
"No,
we're going
live."
I
said we got 5 minutes, and then I started playing the intro video, and I was like, "There's no turning back now."
Oh man!
Coming at you live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter, Periscope. Follow us on Twitter at Hammer Report. Like us on Facebook. Follow us there. You can also always check us out on demand. Basically a recording of the live show on your favorite podcasting platform, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Google, whatever, Spotify. I just got a report from Spotify. I guess our
numbers are up again.
It just was giving me like a year-end report. I think our Attica Champions show, last week's show was the highest one on Spotify for the year. Yeah.
Well, tonight should do well. And,
we'll see. Yeah.
And next week is Sandusky Speedway, right?
Sandusky Speedway, yes.
And
we're going to have a full studio next week. We have nobody in the studio this week, but lots to get to tonight. We have Frank Jiovani, Dennis Whisman Jr., Greg Studt, plus we're going to check in with Rusty Schlenk, who's down at PRI getting ready for the Gateway Dirt Nationals, which is next weekend, and we're going to talk to all these guys on the phone here shortly. We're going to start with Frank.
What's PRI, Scott?
I don't know. Performance Racing
Industry. Yeah. It's a huge industry-wide trade show.
It's in Indianapolis, right? Indianapolis.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. I'm surprised you're not there. You going down after the show?
Nah.
Skipping it this year?
Nope. I sent a delegate.
Okay. Is his last name Miller?
Miller, yeah.
Okay.
That could be.
That's a good delegate. I don't know where it's going with that. Yeah, that's coming up. Also,
started today.
UMP Summer Nationals have released their schedule.
Yeah.
Some interesting stuff on there. We'll talk about that and all the latest racing news as well. Sound good? How about we get started?
Yeah.
We got a lot to go on.
In case somebody is listening that's going to leave us later, and I'll talk about it later, I was talking with Craig Dittman from Dittman Motorsports and Chris Mize, who's going to be on our show next week, live in the studio. And Dittman Motorsports will be servicing the hangover race with race fuel.
There's not usually fuel at the hangover.
They'll be having 110, 112, and 114 race gas plus methanol, so you've got no excuse not to be there, gang. Dittman Motorsports will be there, and they're going to have a pretty good trailer stock full of crash parts. So, yep.
Not that any crashes ever happen.
No, never.
New Year's Day, it's Sandusky Speedway, the hangover race. That's next event coming up in our area.
And it's fun.
How about we cover a little bit of news here, and we're going to do How Many a little bit early in the show this week.
Okay.
And you'll find out why shortly. Before we get to Frank Jiovani, we have about 10 minutes before we get to him. Let's talk about some action that has been going on. Chris Madden went 2 for 2 in the Dryden Extreme Dirt Car Series action. He picked up the win in the inaugural Grinch 40 at Volunteer Speedway, as well as the opening race a couple weeks ago. So he's pretty much dominating that Extreme Dirt Car Series deal. The next event for that series is coming up Sunday at Livonia Speedway in Georgia.
Did you hear that Dryden is sponsoring both of the Bloomquist cars
I did see that
in 2020, and that
what is Dryden?
I don't know.
Okay.
Must be a pretty wealthy company because, boy, they've been shelling out the dollars. I know that sponsoring Scott Bloomquist is not a cheap deal.
I wouldn't think so. Both his cars.
Right, both cars. And they will be running the entire World of Outlaw series this year as opposed to jumping around or running primarily Lucas. So pretty big news there.
Absolutely. That is big. And if somebody can tell us what Dryden is, leave us a comment on our Facebook Live as we do kind of monitor that.
Or you could call us at 419-214.
No, we got too many people calling in tonight. We got too many calls.
I wouldn't be watching the phone anyway.
Well, I got it right in front of me tonight.
Oh, okay.
The Snowball Derby at Five Flag Speedway. Did you hear about all that
I did.
stuff last weekend? A lot of drama and action this past weekend. It started Thursday with multiple drivers in the sport classes failing inspection and were disqualified because of that.
Right.
And then Sunday's main event, Ty Majeski was leading till late, and a caution came out with 1 lap to go. He got jacked up on the restart, spun in front of the field, collecting, I guess, a bunch of the front runners. And this dude, Stephen Nass, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. He went on to drive to victory, picked up the checkered flag. But 3 hours after the finish, tech inspectors found a titanium violation with his brakes, was the exact quote.
I can tell you exactly what it was, Scott.
The brake calipers
in the brake caliper, they have aluminum pistons, but there was a titanium cap that goes on the piston, and the titanium cap serves as a good heat sink. The heat doesn't travel through to the rest of the brake system. You can be very aggressive with the brakes and not boil the brake fluid.
So that is an advantage.
It is an advantage. Yes,
you're not going to burn up your brakes as much.
Correct. And a representative from a competing. Now you got to understand that there are product sponsors.
There was a lot of extracurricular drama on this. I believe his he used to have a different brake sponsor.
Correct.
And supposedly they're the ones that pointed out to the inspectors that to take a look at that.
That is not something that even a really sharp inspector is not going to pick that up. Somebody had to point a finger and say, look, right there.
Yeah, that'd be hard. I guess you could probably see. Yeah, unless you were looking for it. Yeah. So Travis Braden was declared the winner of that. And on a separate note, speaking of Ty Majeski, he will be going truck racing next year with Nice Motorsports.
Yay.
So, cool. So it wasn't all terrible for him. We're going to get to how many. Usually we do this at the end of the show. We're going to do it before we talk to our featured guests this week because, well, you'll find out in a moment. Last week's how many, and this is something you can play along with us on our Facebook Live comments, where you can guess and win a pizza from Big D's Pizza.
Yeah.
Courtesy of Dean Henry over there in Clyde. But last week's how many awards will I hand out this past weekend at the Oakshade Awards Banquet?
Realizing that you couldn't hand them all out because a few people were no-shows, so they didn't.
So the people that showed up or had their junior crew chief pick up for them, those counted, and I came up with the number of 87, which puts Ron Miller as last week's in-studio winner with 72. Is that like the first time you've been the in-studio winner? It's been a while.
Maybe.
Yeah. And I don't know if this shouldn't count, but can you guess who our online winner was?
Pam Henricks?
Close. Very close.
Chrissy?
Yes.
Oh.
Christina Henricks guessed 86.
And it was 87?
I think so. I could be off by one, so she may be right on. But
well, she can go visit Dean Henry.
There you go.
Get her pizza.
There you go. She may have had a little insight into the number of awards.
Yeah, and might have had some insight as to who may or may not be there.
Yeah.
But that's okay. She won.
Yeah. So congratulations to her.
Yay.
So this week's how many is, because I'm running out of things where we're not having too many races going on or can guess how many stuff, is how many minutes will tonight's show go?
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
Is that my makeup?
She's stealing stuff, Scott.
Is that my makeup?
Oh, my gosh.
Hey, we could have Meg and Mick on the show. This would be we can't afford Meg and Mick. It's okay.
Too high price?
Yeah. Well, he destroyed those already.
I got angry with him. No big deal.
Don't piss him off. Bad things happen. So the reason we're doing this at the beginning of the show is how many minutes is tonight's show going to be? Last week we went a little long because we had Brian Liskey in the studio and
had a good time.
Yeah, good show last week. And we have a lot of guests tonight, so I'm not really sure how far we're going. Usually it's about right around an hour, but in minutes, go ahead and put your guess in online, and whoever's closest will get that Big D's Pizza courtesy of Dean Henry. And
so we've got three guests from Flat Rock, plus Rusty Schlenk.
Yeah.
Plus as much as you and I want to ramble on.
Yeah, well, we're pretty much done rambling in about 4 minutes when we talk to Frank, so.
Oh, we can find things to ramble
I got
about.
plenty still.
Yeah, I know you do.
Yeah. So let's go ahead, Kathy. You want to guess how many minutes we're going to go tonight? 46.
46? We haven't been under an hour in, like, forever.
No.
You want a second guess?
Yeah, that's not really a good guess. Bump that up a little.
Bump it up.
Yeah.
58.
Okay. We'll go.
Okay.
It could happen. What do you got, Ryan?
Scott, 83.
Ooh.
You know, and technically, we kind of have control over it. So if I go with 84,
You can push that magic button, and
I'm not sure I want to go that long, but I'm going to go with 84. So that's my guess.
of course you would.
So let's get to a little bit of racing news before we talk to Frank Jiovani, late model
We already
champion.
had a little bit of racing news.
Or this could be him calling in already. So we'll get to the racing news here in just a minute. Let's check the Hammer Down Racing phone line.
Hotline?
Hammer Down Racing Report, who's this?
Hi, Scott. This is Frank Jiovani calling. How are you?
Hey, Frank, we're on the air. You're here with Ron Miller, Kathy in the studio with us as well. How's it going?
Hey, Ron. Good. How are you?
Wow, everybody's great here, man. Wishing it was summer so we could go race, but yeah. Congratulations on a great season.
Yeah, I appreciate that a lot. Thank you very much. We had a great season. Actually, I have a special guest with me right now. I have the car owner and good friend Dick Barker's with me on the phone with you.
Oh, Dick Barker, hello.
Hello, how are you guys?
Wonderful. Haven't seen you in about 100 years, buddy.
Oh, it's only been 50. Don't go that far.
Okay. Yeah, both of us have been around the block a few times.
Okay. Well, yeah.
And
go ahead.
We enjoyed it.
You there?
Yeah.
Okay.
We went around the block and we enjoyed every lap.
Absolutely.
Frank, congratulations on the championship, and I guess I saw you just recently got married as well.
Yeah, in November, we got married to my longtime girlfriend. We've been together about 12 years. So she supported me through my racing career and seen all the ups and as well as all the downs. So she's a really special part of my life, and we finally sealed the deal in November.
So it was a pretty big year for you then. I'm assuming that the marriage was scheduled before you knew you were going to be the champion this year.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually missed the banquet for Flat Rock. We didn't know we had the wedding scheduled before the banquet was scheduled, unfortunately. So we did miss that, but they brought the trophy to me, so that actually worked out really well.
Well, that's pretty cool because some tracks, if you're not there, you don't get paid.
We made sure we got paid.
All right.
Sure, the car owner appreciates that too.
Yes, get the money.
So you're a former street stock champ up there, and so how long you been in the late model?
So, I mean, going back, overall, I've been racing for over 24 years now. So I started in quarter midgets, the same place Eric Jones and Brad Kozlowski started in the Oakland MMRA, so the Michigan Midget Racing Association. I did that till I was about 13 years old, and then we moved up to Legend Cars, my family team. We did that for 3 years, had some success, won some feature events there. Never a championship, but then we decided it was to move on to a full-body stock car, and that's how we found Flat Rock Speedway. And it was really just a great match, a great group of people that raced at Flat Rock, a family there. So we really enjoyed our time there, ended up winning the championship, and then that's when the opportunity came to run the late model with Dick Barker and Pat Moran. And this has been about 5 years together, going on the 6th year for 2020. So.
I saw you said you ran quarter midgets, and I saw doing some prep here. I actually do a little bit of work ahead of time. That you finished runner-up in the quarter midget dirt nationals back in 2000. Have you any other experience racing on dirt?
That was my first and only time on dirt besides the legend cars. So I've run Onaway, Silver Bullet, as well as Crystal up in upper part of Michigan. And I enjoyed it a lot. But unfortunately, that's pretty much as far as the extent of the dirt career that I've had so far.
Well, those are pretty well maintained and run tracks. So, yeah, that's impressive.
Did you get to any other tracks this past season, or did you just stay at Flat Rock?
Well, we had Flat Rock, and then we also ran the ARCA Gold Cup series. That's a combination series between Flat Rock and Toledo. So that was So I was able to get some experience there, and we actually won the Gold Cup championship the past 2 years. So we were back-to-back champions, 2017 and 2018. So that was a huge success, and to follow back up with the track championship at Flat Rock was just the goal for the entire year, and the team is so happy that we were able to accomplish it.
Dick Barker has always run really well at Toledo. Has he had any input or any help in your career there?
Yeah, I can let him elaborate a little bit, but I mean, his experience and how to work that track has been priceless. So anyone that's been there knows it's a very challenging place. You're racing the track a lot of the times, and you have to really know where not to be at that place. That things happen so fast. So, having his experience, Dick's always in the spotter stand in my ear when we race there, so it's really helpful.
Do you have a preference between Toledo and Flat Rock?
I enjoy Toledo. I enjoy, being able to open up the car a little bit, be able to use that throttle a lot. I enjoy it. It's just unfortunate a little bit with the car counts that we've had there the last couple of years. We're always looking for more cars to run there. So, I like Toledo. We just need to get the car count up a little bit.
And do you see that improving at all?
I do. I really think ARCA is doing the right things with the rule packages year after year to try to get more cars there. I think the more pristine the Glass City is at the end of the year, I think that's going to also draw a really big crowd this year, big car count. So we were really hoping that we see a positive trend with that.
So what happened this year where you didn't get the Gold Cup championship for the third year in a row?
Yeah, we had some really stiff competition. Brian Buraker, he took the championship this year, and he did a great job. A lot of good finishes. Just some mechanical issues really is what put us out of it. Unfortunately, just didn't have the finishes that we needed at Toledo to seal the deal there for the third one.
But
we did end up second, so not a complete loss of the championship season there, but just a little bit behind to take the cup again.
That Gold Cup series, that's just a few races. That's so, like you said, mechanical issues could put you out since you don't really have a chance to catch back up, right?
Yeah, that's right. It's a 6-race series, so one DNF or one mechanical issue, and that's pretty much going to wrap it up for you. I mean, you really have to be on your game. You got some really stiff competition. A lot of great cars that make it out to those events.
Frank, before we started talking to you, we were discussing the Snowball Derby. What are your thoughts on that disqualification?
On the disqualification, well, first of all, it was a great race. I mean, the last couple of restarts there were really entertaining for us and everyone to watch, so that part was cool. The DQ is interesting, so my thoughts on it are the rules, so we have to follow that, and that's what's going to maintain the sport going forward. So the rule book says no titanium. You can't have titanium in the car. So it's the driver's and the owner's responsibility to know what equipment is going on the car, and that's pretty much black and white at that point.
That cap on the master cylinder piston, or on the caliper piston, is that something that's pretty common, or was that really outside the box?
No, it's not that outside the box. It's not brand new technology or the new trick out there. It's been used before, so it's not something that's unknown. But again, like I said, you have to know what parts are in your car, and if it doesn't meet within the specifications, it's all about that. And also, and Dick's got a point here, and I'll let him elaborate on it. The cost of racing is just, it's getting out of control, and it's hurting the car count. So maybe the rules are in there for a reason, i.e. cost. So that's a big part of it, too.
What do you think about that, Dick?
Well, I just think, when you start using titanium, it's so expensive, and I know they're trying to keep the cost down. And if you keep the cost down, you're going to raise the car count up, and that's what we're all looking at. I mean, it's so expensive to run these cars nowadays, and when you have teams that have unlimited funds and they're running all the titanium stuff, and it's hard to run with. So then what happens is people get discouraged, and they start going different ways. So I think there has to be a cost factor involved. And I think a lot of the sanctioned bodies are doing that, and you saw that in the Snowball Derby. And I'm like Frankie, a rule's a rule. We know, we look at the rule book all winter long, and we make sure that if that's a rule, that's what we're doing. So we build the cars to the rules. Now, everybody tries to stretch a rule, and I understand, and I know there's gray areas, and I understand. But what the sanctioning bodies are doing is trying to take those gray areas away and make us run the rules so that we can save a little money and be more efficient and have a good race series.
I've written rules for a lot of classes. The old sportsman class at Toledo Speedway, I wrote the rules for that. And I've found that you're better off telling the racers what they have to run rather than telling them what they can't run. As soon as you tell them they can't run titanium something or another, they'll come up with some other exotic metal that does the same thing. So you're better off in a rule book telling the racers what they have to use.
No, you're exactly right. And in our division, I mean, the teams that are stretching rules, and we all, for lack of a better word, we all complain about that because rules are rules. So those people who are going by the rules are at a disadvantage if you allow, and you guys know this, if you allow those other teams to get in the gray area and stretch it too far. So I'm one that rules a rule, and I've always lived by that. And if I can't beat you that way, I got to go back and work on my car and beat you another way. But it's not going to be by cheating a rule.
Let's assume that they were running 4 piston calipers. Then there's 4 calipers on a car, so that's 16 of those little caps. How much do you think those piston caps would cost?
I don't know. I mean, guys, I'm telling you, titanium is very expensive.
Why? And I know that. Sprint car guys use a lot of it, so I don't know what one of them would cost. Never explored that option.
But it's very lightweight.
Oh, yeah.
And the whole idea right now is lighten up the cars, but all the way down the bottom. So we understand that, but we also don't think that that paying all that big money for that titanium stuff is worth it all.
Well, my understanding with the titanium cap is that titanium doesn't transfer heat, so there's a much wider swing before you boil the brake fluid.
Right. And that was kind of made a point, as you can see over social media and everyone trying to evaluate the situation differently. But, yeah, that's what it sounded like the advantage would be, right? So you can run those brakes a little bit harder, a little bit longer, deep into that 300-lap race. So I could see where they have a point that, yeah, it does have a performance advantage. And I wouldn't disagree with that. But, again, no titanium, that's what the rule book says.
Yeah, I can't imagine weight being a big factor with that particular part. But, boy, if it keeps the heat off of the brake fluid, that's a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's one other storyline out of the Snowball Derby that I'd like to bring up, and I've been thinking about it over the week. And it's really cool as far as late model racing goes. The different manufacturers of the race cars there, I think that's a new emerging battle that hasn't been part of late model racing in a long time. So we talk about the Van Dorn race cars, the Seneca race cars, the Fury race cars. It's really cool in this day and age to watch that battle happen. And those manufacturers want to show off their drivers and their teams and show their success. And I think that's something that maybe is not a forefront story at this time, but I think it's really cool and a good way to start to develop more people and get more people interested into late model racing.
With top-level dirt late models, there are probably a dozen primary manufacturers and a bunch of smaller builders. So, yeah, you're absolutely right on that.
Now, back to the rules issues. Has there been any drama like there was at the Snowball Derby anytime this past summer at Flat Rock at all that you know of?
Nothing that comes to mind.
Okay.
I think there's little things that happen at Flat Rock and Toledo, but I'm telling you guys, ARCA stays on top of it as good as any sanctioning body in the state of Michigan. You know, I mean, you can go run Kalamazoo Grand Rapids up at Frankenmuth. The rules are a little bit more lax. Everybody knows that. We take advantage more. But you come to ARCA, everybody knows when you roll through the tech barn that they're going to be the same with everyone, and they're going to go by the rules.
Okay. We got to kind of move on here, but I got a couple more questions for you, Frank. Plans for next year? Going to go for the Gold Cup Championship and Flat Rock Championship again?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's always the main goal is win championships, but if we can win a few races along the way, of course we want to do that. So we do plan on running the full ARCA schedule as far as the Gold Cup and the full Flat Rock Track Championship schedule. Usually it's comprised around 11 or 12 races at Flat Rock and then the six race series of the Gold Cup.
Okay. Final question for you, and this involves all the track champions at Flat Rock. We've been asking this of all of our track champion
Here we
interviewees.
go. This one's off the wall.
So, who would win in a race of equally prepared big wheels? You, Dennis, or Greg?
I'm going to take me on that. I'm going to put myself on a little pedestal right now. I think I'm going to win the big wheel race.
Okay, I'll accept that. Any reason why?
Well,
just because
he handles better.
Let's make it happen, and then we can stop talking and we'll see who wins the big wheel race.
I'm actually going to work on this. I know we had Brian Liskey seemed to be a little interested in that. We had our Attica champions last week, so we'll see what we can do.
We need to see if we can dig up some adult-sized big wheels, Scott.
No, they got to be kids' big wheels because that'd be even more fun to watch. Well, Frank, congratulations on the championship season, and thanks to both of you guys for your time tonight.
Dick Barker, great talking with you.
Yeah, great talking with you. Thanks, guys. I love your show.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having us on. If I could, just a few people I want to thank.
Please.
Moran Automotive for always giving us, the support and the equipment that we need to do what we all love, and supporting the series overall. We can't do it without them. I also want to thank 4th Street Auto. I also want to thank JV Auto, who support us throughout the year, McQuaid Electric, and Painter Supply and Equipment, who really make our hot rods look great. You can see some of the pictures online at my website or on our Facebook or Twitter accounts. Just follow us throughout the season, and we'd be happy to share our experience with you.
All right. Well, hopefully we can do this again next year then.
Yeah, let's plan that.
All right. All right.
Appreciate it.
Dick Barker, Frank Jiovani, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Champion there of Flat Rock Speedway in the late model and car owners as well.
Yeah.
Who apparently you know
Yes.
very well.
Yes.
Okay. Do any work for him?
No. Nope. Just back from our pavement days when we were servicing Flat Rock and Toledo, and just a great group of guys.
Okay. How did your Black Friday sale go for Ron Miller race cars?
The shop is full.
Yes, I know. I'm waiting in line, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you will have a truck to take your car to
Okay.
the hangover race at Sandusky, Scott.
All right.
For sure.
I did put outlets in my garage finally, so now I have power in the garage.
Ooh, baby.
I still haven't touched my car since the last
How
race.
about heat?
There ain't no heat. I don't even have lights. That's the next step. I'm working on that.
Outlets, well.
Yeah. First I had to get power. Now we'll get lights.
All right.
You want to talk about Ron Miller race cars, and I will pull up Greg Studt here on the phone.
Sure.
Yeah.
Ron Miller race cars, huh?
Yeah, that one place, they do stuff.
Yeah, you just got to remember that Christmas is just a couple of weeks away, and if you can't think of anything else, a gift certificate from Ron Miller Race Cars is one size fits
Please
all.
consult your directory and call again.
Oh, Scott, you did it again.
I don't know what I did.
Oh,
Sorry, I interrupted your commercial there.
right. Yeah, you derailed my train.
Okay, I think I'm good now.
You think you're good?
I think so. I got the area code.
Oh, okay. But a gift certificate, one size fits all. If you've got a Bomber family member, we've got some tires in stock, and
Might need them for the hangover race.
set of 4 tires under the Christmas tree would look really good.
Hello.
Hi, is this Greg?
Yeah, this is Greg. How's it going?
Pretty good. Scott Hammer, Ron Miller, Kathy here from the Hammer Down Racing Report, and I want to start off by saying congratulations on another championship.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. They're all hard to get, so each one of them special.
Well, you made history, I guess, a few years ago by becoming the first person at Flat Rock to win in all 3 classes, right? The late model, figure 8, and street stocks.
Yeah, that's correct. We, if you hang out long enough and get enough good opportunities, you can cash in on some of them. But yeah, we got the street stock and moved to the street stock division to try to get the 3rd championship. And we did that in 2016. That's how we ended up in that division.
So how many years you been racing?
I started when I turned 16, which doesn't sound young now, but back in the mid-'90s, that was still young. Started off in the enduro class and then started racing full-time at Flat Rock in the figure 8 division in 97.
How long has the Studt family been racing at Flat Rock?
I think my parents were dating when Bob was racing and winning.
Well, up to this year here, we've there's either me or my dad have ran for points at Flat Rock. I believe he said in 65 because he got drafted and came back from the Army in 65 and started racing full-time. So we...
Go ahead.
Oh, no, okay, so we've been down there a lifetime or 3.
Lifetime 3.
Yeah, I can pretty much relate.
Yeah, I bet you can.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, about the same year.
Talking
Actually, 1 year before that, but
we're speaking
who's
with
counting?
Street Stock A-Main champion of Flat Rock Speedway, Greg Studt. Father, longtime figure 8 race. Did he run anything other than figure 8s, Bob Studt?
Yeah, he ran some street stocks. Drove for a couple different car owners, and then had a couple of his own over the years. And they run some sportsmen at Spartan Speedway for a handful of years, but primarily figure 8.
I think
never ran any super late model or anything past that.
I think I saw he's the winningest figure 8 driver there at Flat Rock in the history.
Yeah, he's got 115 wins and I think 12 or 13 championships.
That's pretty amazing.
That is impressive.
Well, I'll tell you what, just being able to work beside him, I mean, obviously without all his guidance and his knowledge, there's no way I have any success. But I can tell you how it's done. He outworks everybody. I mean, besides the fact he's a phenomenal race car driver, but he's never been outworked.
Tell us about your car, your team, and that street stock division at Flat Rock has come a long way from it's what it was originally envisioned. Tell us about your car and how you got there.
Well, the division is a phenomenal division. We have full car counts every week, which, in this day and age is really saying something, to draw 30-plus cars every week for a division. And they're stock frame chassis from the front spring to rear spring, 2,900-pound weight limit. You can run crate motor or a built motor, but no pop-up pistons. They got us restricted 2-inch exhaust, 2-barrel carburetor. They're more than what you would think a street stock is. They're probably closer to a pro stock or a sportsman minus a tube front end.
Right.
Ron probably remembers what the old pro stock division, where it was just 2 chassis stock front end. That's basically what they are. But they're racy, sporty cars. They're full-blown race cars. There's not much stock about them.
How does this year's championship stack up to all the other championships you got? I mean, does it mean as much as the other ones, or?
Well, absolutely. I mean, we've put a lot of work and a lot of effort. to run for a championship and do it right, it's 3-4 days a week in the garage. So each one of them's special. If you're gonna put that time in and you want to get the result, you miss out on a lot of other things. Really dedicating yourself like that. So if you're gonna put the time in, of course they're definitely special. We had a phenomenal year this year. Won 3 races, won our biggest race of the year. Only finished outside the top 5 one time. That was a 6th place finish. So the car is real dependable. Dad makes sure he builds them good and strong in case we get any mix-up. We can keep running, and everything just fell in place perfectly this year.
Speaking of your dad, how involved is he in a week to week with working on the car? I mean, is he putting more time in it than you, or are you doing it? I mean, how much is he involved?
He's heavily involved. He puts in more hours in the garage than I do. He's been retired from his 9 to 5 for almost 20 years now, and he loves racing. He was a race fan, and he loves tinkering on them and working on them, and that's why he owns them. And I'm just, I help as much as I can. I do. Now we're in the street stock stuff. I do a lot of the setup and the preparation, and then he'll do mainly drivetrain stuff. But he's out there tinkering every night. It's his hobby. It's what he loves to do. So. And he owns the cars, and like I said, I'm in a very, very fortunate position. I have been my whole career. Been blessed to be around a lot of smart people and been given a lot of opportunities most people would dream for as far as a short track racer is concerned. So
now I'm sure he shared a lot of his knowledge with you over the years. I mean, is there anything else that he contributes from his experience to you at this point, or have you pretty much tapped out that resource?
Well, a resource like that is never tapped out.
Okay.
It was such a benefit though when I was a young driver just starting. I always tell people I could learn more about driving a race car sitting at the dinner table with them on a Thursday night than going out there and flailing around for a year in the back of the pack.
We're talking with Greg Studt. Greg, tell us a little bit about your sponsors. I know they're important, and some of the guys that help you with the car.
Yeah, absolutely. We have great sponsors, and all our sponsors are friends. Great friends that we've met through racing or otherwise that own great businesses that help us out. Our primary sponsor is Apollo Broach, which the owner of that company or founder was Ken Ahlgren Sr., and now Ken Ahlgren and his sister Sherry Ahlgren run that company. And Ken Ahlgren was a former racer that me and my dad both raced against for many,
I was going to say
years.
That's a name that's been around Flat Rock Speedway for a long time too.
Absolutely, yes. He raced there for 20 plus years, so he helps us out a lot. And we have Carl's Furniture here in Flat Rock, just a friend of mine I've had for many years. Budget Tire, Pete Shrake, who owns that, also races part time at the track. He helps a bunch of people out. And we have Winetown Party Store, which you have to have a party store for a sponsor. that always helps out.
Got to have something to do when you're not racing.
Right, you might have some beer left over at the end of the night, so it'll help you get through the week. But our crew just consists of my dad and my 14-year-old son, Donnie, and Jimmy Clark and Butch Clark, who have been racing with us since the late 80s.
Is there going to be a third-generation Studt racing soon?
Oh, I don't know about that. Yeah, if his mom has anything to do about it, probably not. But he's if he wants to pursue it when he gets to the age, we're not getting crazy.
Isn't that age just 2 more years? That's when you started.
That's when I started. We'll see about it then. Okay. Of course he wants to try it. Just like I did when I was a kid. You always, if you grow up around it, you always want to try it. So I'm sure one day down the road we might give it a shot.
Has your son done any go-kart racing or just crew chiefing?
No, just hanging out and wrenching and learning and being around it. That's
important.
It is, absolutely, and he's kind of getting the same treatment I got when I was his age. I was dying to get in a go-kart or anything at 14 years old. I just wanted to race something.
You bet.
But Dad had 2 race cars, and he was already working 4 or 5 days a week on them, plus going to work and putting all his resources into that. So I got shoved to the back burner, which is understandable. So we do a lot of activities. That means he's big into his bowling, and we travel all over the state and do that kind of stuff.
Ron likes his bowling, too.
Tuesday nights.
Now you've been successful in the late model, the figure eight, the street stock. Do you have a preference in any of those classes, or do you enjoy them all?
Anything with a steering wheel, I prefer.
There you go.
I love racing anything. Figure eight is kind of near and dear to me because that's where I cut my teeth and grew up. And honestly, I believe that division's what's made me a good race car driver in any kind of car.
Do you have to be some level of crazy to be a figure eight driver?
I'm not a real crazy, wild person outside the race car, and I don't think I am inside. It depends on how you look at the event. I mean, if you're trying to win, you're trying to run out front, it's a very calculated and timing-oriented race. It can be crazy, and that's the kind of the fun element of it. When you get 20 cars out there and there's lap traffic and intersection. But what it teaches you is to never stop moving your eyes, never stop thinking, and great reaction time, which will carry over into any division.
Okay. What are your plans for next year? Are you going to stay in the street stock?
Yeah, we have a figure eight car also. We don't run it full time, but we drop in and run some figure eight still. So I don't think I'm going to run for a championship in either division next year. We're just going to, run whatever car we feel like running that night. Sometimes run them both. I know I'm going to miss a couple Saturdays this year, which is probably going to kill me. I haven't missed but maybe 10 Saturdays in my whole life. But
track promoters don't like to hear that you're not going to be there every week. True story, personal experience.
I understand that, but how can they miss you if you don't go away?
Yeah.
Well, sometimes life happens.
Absolutely.
So we got one last question for you here because we gotta move on to Dennis Whisman here in just a little bit, junior that is.
Yeah.
Not senior. We asked this of Frank just a little bit ago, and I don't know if you heard his answer. I'm not going to spoil it if you haven't. But who would you say would win in a race of equally prepared big wheels between you, Frank Jiovani, and Dennis Whisman Jr.?
Oh, that's an easy one. I don't know how athletic Frank is, but I am the elder by several years in that deal. So I'm going to say Whisman Jr. would probably take that.
Yep.
Frank might have an edge on him, though, because Dennis has got some long legs. Frank's a little bit shorter to the ground, so he might be able to get those knees out far enough past the handlebars better. But I'm taking up the rear in that for sure.
Frank was pretty confident in his big wheel abilities, so he picked himself.
His athletic ability, he said, would carry him through. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they would both kick my butt, I can guarantee you that.
Well, Greg, we appreciate the time, and again, congratulations on another championship there at Flat Rock Speedway.
Thank you very much, and I enjoyed being with you guys, and have a great show.
All right.
Hope to talk to you next year right after Thanksgiving.
He's not running for a championship.
Sure he will.
Okay.
You know what happens. You get the first couple of races. Yeah, buddy. You get the first couple of races in, and you've done well. Yeah, you're sucked in.
Yeah, if I don't miss opening night, you're probably right.
Yeah, okay. Greg Studt, thank you very much, buddy.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
All right, bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Greg Studt, your Street Stock A main champion of Flat Rock Speedway. I just got a message from Rusty. He says he's got a guest speaker for us tonight as
Really?
well. Yeah. Again, we're going to be checking in with Rusty Schlenk down at PRI as he prepares for the Gateway Dirt Nationals, which is happening in St. Louis next weekend. And he was the winner of the Race of Champions last year.
Right.
And he was on our show the week before, so he wanted to be on the show again to see if he can carry that.
So since he couldn't be in the studio tonight, he'll be calling in live from the PRI show.
Yeah. So let's get to Dennis Whisman here before we get to Rusty. So far, I've been doing good on the phones here with dialing.
Well, you missed one, Scott.
That was.
We got to talk to that nasty lady.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Please hang up and try again.
Does Dennis know we're calling? We know. You told him we're calling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Uh-oh. I hear myself. No, I hear nothing.
Actually, Senior said that he would be by the phone, too.
Oh.
Scott, I jinxed you. Try again.
I think so. Is it going to ring? The little lights.
You've got one more number to dial.
I did. That's why this show needs a producer. Someone to dial the phone for me.
Maybe we could train Kathy to dial the phone.
Maybe. I think there's a way to do it from that other room, too.
We could send her to the other room?
Yeah, maybe I didn't dial enough of the last number. Yeah, that other little room over there behind the window that says poop on it for some reason.
Well, it's ringing, Scott.
Is this Dennis?
Yep.
Hey, Dennis, it's Scott Hammer, Ron Miller, Kathy here from the Hammer Down Race Report. How's it going?
Pretty good. How are you guys?
Good. We miss you on Tuesdays.
Yeah, I was there this Tuesday. I was subbing for my dad's team.
Oh, all right.
You're talking bowling.
Yeah,
again.
I got my dad with me tonight.
All right.
He said he'd be there.
Who's the better bowler? You or your dad?
I don't know about that. I think I'm getting up there.
No, you ain't.
Who's the better figure eight racer?
The boys. I'm going to give that to the boy. I'm getting a little old.
Okay.
Although I will say that I heard earlier Ron started racing in 64, and I feel pretty old, but I was born in 64.
Oh, Dennis, don't start, man. Boy, we're 2 minutes into the interview, and already I'm getting stabbed.
I don't even know what to say to that. Let's start off with saying congratulations to Junior there for getting. This is your first ever track championship, right?
Yep, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. How big was this for you?
It was pretty big. It was after 5 years. It was my 5th year. I mean, I knew it was coming, but I mean, it was pretty big.
Okay. Go ahead.
How come Dad wasn't a champion this year?
I had to step in the boot sometime.
I see. You beat him consistently, or did that wreck early on in the year have something to do with it?
Well, I mean, it was back and forth through the year. He kind of got me some nights. I kind of got him. We both had mechanical issues some nights.
I know he used up a lot of race car one night up there.
Oh, yes, he did. A couple race cars, a couple motors.
That when he caught the wall in turn 2 there, between 1 and 2.
Yeah, I pounded it pretty hard. That was pretty bad.
Yeah.
But we got that car back together, and I got the checker flag that night with that tore up.
I saw that.
It was pretty unbelievable the amount of guys that jumped in and worked on that car, and I mean it was a mess. If anybody looked at it, and man, the radiator wasn't even in the cradle. We had it ratchet tied on the outside of the front cradle. It was pretty bad.
Kathy and I were up there that night, and I said, "Wow, that was a hit."
So I have a question for you figure eight guys. Turns 1 and 2, is that different than turns 1 and 2 on the oval?
Yeah, they're actually backwards.
So your turns 1 and 2 is actually turn 1 is actually 4, and turn 2 is actually 3. If you're talking the oval,
right?
Okay, yeah. I'm with you now. Now I can picture it in my head. I was a little confused.
And 1 and 2, the driver's up by the wall.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 4, 3, 1, 2.
So how much of an influence this is for Junior has your dad been on your racing career?
It was very big. I wouldn't be in the situation without him. Mine and Greg's situation is totally the same. We would not be in the situation without our dads. He helped me through day in, day out, at the garage, at the racetrack. Like Greg said, sitting at the kitchen table, anywhere. I just wouldn't be here without him.
Now, do you remember the very first time you beat your dad?
Yes, I do. It was a Flat Rock Speedway, and it was a night after it just finished raining. And we were running second and third, and he came out of turn 2 and actually spun out, and I stayed it straight. It was smooth. It was a wet track, and that was the first night I beat him.
So how'd the conversation go after the race between you and your dad?
There's a lot of smack talking, yeah.
Anything we can repeat on the air here?
I mean, he thought I spun him, but he knew it was all the water. I wouldn't spin my dad.
Much.
Yeah, I could have swore he bumped me a little bit.
Has there ever been any on track contact between you two, intentional or not?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of rubbing. I mean, intentional, not intentional, just racing,
fun.
Just fun racing.
Rubbing is racing, buddy.
Having raced with my son, I understand that stuff happens.
Yeah, I actually had quite a few racers tell me, they said, man, if your son would race everybody else as hard as he races against you, he'd hardly ever lose.
I understand that.
Is there extra motivation there to beat your dad?
Yeah, because I've constantly through my whole life, that's the only person I've watched at the track, and I've seen how good he is. And to be the man, you got to beat the man. So you got to get up there.
How hard is it to get started the first time doing figure eight racing? Because that's something I've never done. I have no experience in it, and except for on a computer game where I know I'm not going to get hurt or cost thousands of dollars in damage.
Yeah, that reset button helps a lot.
Yeah, it does. How was it getting it and starting just doing figure eight racing?
I mean, it was, for a normal person, I think it would be definitely scary. But with me growing up watching it every Saturday, mostly every Friday, I jumped in there. I mean, there was some temptation, and I was scared, but I mean, I was ready for it, and I knew what to do, when to do it, because I've always watched my whole life.
And I'm sure you got a lot of coaching there from Dad too, right?
Yes, a lot.
We talked to Greg. Go ahead.
I've got boxes and boxes full of videotapes, and before he ever started racing, I used to walk in his room, and he'd be sitting there just studying those tapes. And myself, my brother David, my brother John, everybody racing, and I mean, he could pretty much tell you anything that happened in them videos before he even got in a race car. So
that's important.
How many years have you been running, Junior?
This was my 5th year. Next year would be my 6th.
Okay.
Early on, we talked with Frank Jiovani. We talked with Greg Studt about sponsors and crew people that help you. Tell us about yours.
Well, my sponsors, I got a portable transmission, Royal Truck and Trailer with Carl Bumgarner. He helps a lot. Mark's Toy Box, Leppin Chiropractic, JT Motorsports. We got Elite Property Service and Construction, and there's a lot of people that come to the track every year or every week. Jeff Minnick. We got my Uncle Joey, Rich Lee, Mindy Lee, my girlfriend and my mom. They're there to support. We got just my whole family, and there's a lot of people at the track that we help, and they put in a lot of support. And without all the friends at the track, we probably wouldn't be here too, and all the family and everything.
Between car owners and sponsors and crew, there's just an awful lot of experience there. A lot of names that you shot out that have spent a long time in racing.
Yeah, I'm blessed to be around all these people with all the support. And I mean, in the winter time when there's no racing whatsoever, I'm still getting tips from these guys, and it's all building in the back of my head.
Are you still watching tapes?
Oh yeah, every night.
We just had a racing tape watching party last Saturday.
Nice. What are the plans for next year? Are you gonna try to go for 2 championships in a row?
Yep, that's my plan. Go out there and be better than last year. I definitely want some more feature wins, heat race wins, maybe more fast qualifiers. Just be better than last year.
What about Dad? Is he going to be chasing you, or are you going to be chasing him?
I think I'm gonna hang it up, Ron, and just be a crew chief, buddy. I think I've had enough.
Wait, is this a big retirement announcement?
Could be.
Well,
I think that he would be better suited with me just helping him and spending more time on one car.
Breaking news.
So that's what we may do.
Did you announce that at the banquet, or?
No.
Okay.
So it is. It's breaking news.
I just want to bow out gracefully, you know. I'm good.
Well, I know how race car driver retirements go. It usually doesn't stick, but I'll take the breaking news.
I keep hearing that.
So we'll see what happens next year.
That's my plan. My car that I drove is sold, so.
Oh.
And there's no way you couldn't possibly build another one.
Oh, I might be available January 1st if you need me to drive for you around.
Overaction there.
I hear that a lot. And it is. It's the car. It's not me. I don't know if we could fit you in the car, man. You're a little bit taller.
What? Oh. Okay.
Listen. You've seen the size of me compared to Bob Studt. I drove one of his cars one night, buddy. If you want to drive it, you can get in there.
I'll bet that was comfortable.
I actually have a checker flag picture. I'm holding the flag out the door, and you can see my knees sticking up above the door, too.
Nice. Junior, one last question for you before we have to move on here. We asked this of all the Flat Rock champions. Who would win in a race of equally prepared big wheels? You, Frank, or Greg?
Is there going to be an intersection in this big wheel race?
I hadn't thought of that. That might make it more exciting. Let's both scenarios, oval and a figure eight.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty competitive, so I'm going to say me.
Okay, on both the oval and the figure eight.
Oh yeah, yep.
Yeah, and you're a few years younger than the other two, so.
Yeah, and I got a lot of nieces and nephews running around. I got big wheels all in the backyard. I ride them every day.
All right. Well, congratulations again on winning that first championship, and here's to many more for you in the future, and good luck next year.
Dennis Whisman Jr. and Senior. Senior, we expect to see you on a race car next year.
It's good talking to you guys. We'll see you, Scott, and I'll see you Tuesday, Ron.
Yes, you will, buddy.
Appreciate it, guys.
Thanks,
right.
Dennis.
Thanks, guys. Dennis Whisman, the Dennis Whismans.
Yeah.
Junior and senior.
Great people.
Figure eight racers up there. Flat
Actually,
Rock,
all the
Toledo.
people that we talked to today, super families.
Absolutely. And we got one more to get to still.
Yeah.
Before we get to show. And we still have some news to go over here.
That dirt track guy's over
he said,
in Indianapolis.
He said he had he said, I've got a guest speaker for you tonight.
Well, call up. Let's see who it is.
Who it is. So, okay. Did I write down his number? I don't know if I put him on my list. Oh, yeah, I got his number. Okay.
Whoops.
Oh, I got to dial 9 first. That's an issue. I'm going to dial somebody's extension here.
That's probably why it didn't work before.
Do I need him one? I don't know if... We're going to go without the one. I don't think he's long distance.
No.
Hold on.
It is quite a ways over to Indy, though.
It is, but...
and it's it's ringing.
Hello.
Hey, is this Rusty?
This is Rusty.
I recognize that voice.
It's Hammer, Ron Miller, Kathy here, Hammer Down Race Report. How's it going?
Oh, not bad. How's it going?
Wonderful.
I'm 4 for on 3 for... Wait, 1, 2... No, 4 for 4 on dialing the right number.
I thought about ignoring you for the first call just to mess with your record there.
Probably would mess with me. I'd be like...
Tell us about the PRI show real quick.
Well, I haven't seen much of it. I've been in the booth all day answering questions, so we didn't. I've only been to 3 or 4 booths other than Landrum's where we've got the car. So
what kind of questions
have
you been?
More walking around.
What kind of questions you been fielding?
Well, I mean, obviously we got the am I still in Rayburns? Am I building chassis? Why in the heck is there a Longhorn in my booth? You know the.
Okay, how about you answer all of those questions for us, and then we'll move on.
Yeah.
We still have Rayburns. Yes, I am building my own car. We ran it the last couple of weeks, plan on running it at the Dome.
You've been pretty successful from what I saw.
Yeah.
Now you're going to put the big motor in it for the Dome, right?
Yeah.
Not the crate motor?
Crate motor out.
Okay.
No 604 at the Dome. But and then the Longhorns in the booth, that's Tyler, my car owner. That's his car. It's about the only car we had that was PRI worthy that wasn't all beat up to put in the booth. So that's what we got in the booth.
All right. So
any thoughts of racing that car?
Yeah, well, we'll probably play around with it a little bit. I don't know how much. Well, I'm sure we'll play with it a little bit. We've got it. We might as well test it and see if we can learn anything.
Very good.
We might take it to Eldora and some of the bigger races next year and try it out.
So what's the plan for this year's Gateway Dirt Nationals, which is 1 week from tonight, I believe it starts?
Well, the plan is to win. That's why we had to come on the radio show.
Yeah, we understand that.
Pretty good, so.
Well, you won the Race of Champions last year. What's the criteria for even qualifying for that race?
Well, it's gone this year. They don't even have it this year. So, yeah, they got rid of it. But no, it was just champions from past races at the Dome, champions from all the bigger series, UMP, Lucas Oil, World of Outlaws, Ethanol, all the major traveling series around the country, regional traveling series, national. They all got to be in that race. I think there was 15 or 16 cars in it, something like that.
So, other than the Race of Champions, how did you fare last year's Dirt Nationals?
Luck kind of bit us in the butt. We ran good. We qualified decent and ran decent in the heat race and I think we started 9th in the prelim feature, which was pretty respectable. They were taking the top 6 and we got caught up a little bit. Billy Moyer Jr. First lap of the race hit a tire and pulled his nose under, and I got stuck behind him for 4 or 5 laps. And by the time I got around him, I was back in 15th or 16th. So had to start in the back of a heat race the next night and missed the show by a couple cars.
Is it hard to pass on that little track?
Yeah, I shouldn't say hard to pass. It's actually pretty racy. It's just it takes a few laps longer to pass there than a normal track. You really got to kind of set them up and figure out where they're going to mess up. It's not just a place where you can step out of line and drive around somebody. You got to work at it for a couple laps. But it's not like a normal. I mean, it's not a normal big racetrack where you can move around like Oak Shade, where it's got 3 or 4 lanes you can move around. But it's not a rubbered up 1-lane track either. We're on like where you don't have to just run around the bottom and follow somebody. You can move out of line and move around. You got to be careful because it's really small.
Now, I'm assuming there's a lot of rubbing as racing going on since it is such tight quarters, right?
Oh yeah. If you're gonna get mad about somebody wrinkling your quarter panel, that's not the place for you to race.
So you said you're bringing one of your new chassis down there to run. One of the ones.
Yep. The new Domination chassis that we've only got one in existence so far. We just got done with it a few weeks ago, and we went down south and tested it. We were going to run our Rayburn car at the Dome, the one we've been running the last couple of years that we ran so good with. We're going to take that, but we, after running my new car down there, it was so good. It was so good right out of the box. We just decided to wait a couple weeks and put a super motor in it and take it to the Dome. I'm pretty excited about it.
Did you get it painted yet? I heard that it was
No,
so new
it's
you didn't.
Bare. It's got to come back it's got to come back apart after the race and go back on the jig so I can finish up the jig and start building race cars. So no, there's no paint on it. It's bare.
Have we taken any orders yet for new Domination cars?
We got 4 of them on order. We've been telling them we're not building any right now. Our goal is February 1st. We should be up and running and building stuff. So, hoping by end of February we can have our first roller done, and then we'll go from there.
Now I saw somewhere, I think probably on social media, that you may be changing your number back. Is this does this rumor have any substance to it?
Yeah. I think we're gonna go back to 91. That's the plan anyway. At least one of the cars, Tyler's car, it'll stay with the big one. It's got a 9 in front of it, so it's a little 9. But yeah, I think my personal car will go back to 91, and Tyler's car it'll be a big one with a little 9 in front of it.
Same color scheme that we're familiar with, at least.
Pretty close. Okay. Yeah, pretty close. There's we got pictures of the new car on all of our social media stuff on Facebook. So pictures at the PRI show, but it's pretty close. It's real similar to last year's.
All right. Well, we wish you luck at the Gateway Dirt Nationals next year, and also
next week.
Next week. Well, it's almost next year. It's close.
Yeah.
If it was a couple weeks, next week. And also, we wish you the best on this new chassis, that Domination race cars.
Real quick,
thank you. I appreciate it.
Real quick, Rusty, everybody's asking, what are your plans for next year?
Same old stuff. We're going to pretty much stick around home. That Merritt deal sounds pretty good. Merritt and Tri-City put a pretty good points fund together for a 10-race deal they got going on, so we might entertain that a little bit. Other than that, just run UMP stuff and local and regional stuff. Well,
and both of those tracks are going to be UMP next year, so that kind of plays into your program anyway.
Yes. I'm glad. Tri-City's a pretty cool track, so I'm excited to race there.
Yeah.
Hey, before we go, I got to put somebody on the phone.
Oh, that's right. You said you had a guest speaker. Who do we have?
You'll have to figure it out. Here he is.
Well, that narrows it down. It's a he.
Hello. Yeah.
Who have we got?
I just saw your picture, Ron Miller.
What?
I just saw your picture on the telephone here.
Really?
I think it's somebody looked like you, but
it's probably pretty scary.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You never see grass on a busy street.
That's it. So, what are you doing associating with Rusty? I mean, I thought you had more class than that, CJ.
He's my buddy. He's just been great for me, and we just got where we just couldn't build race cars. Hell, I'm 100 years old.
Not quite.
No, I think Ron's 100 years old.
Yeah. No, we just down here visiting, enjoying, and I'm on his side. Whatever he does, you know what? If he run off the edge of the world, I'd be right beside him.
So he's building these cars now.
Yeah.
Is he asking you for any input?
Well, I'll do anything I can to help him, and you know, he's done a lot of my stuff on the car, which makes me feel good. So is a few other people.
Well, he's still got the bars running in the wrong direction, so that's got to feel good.
Ron Miller. Ron Miller. I've been sitting here talking to 2 or 3 people, and always held you real high up for your intelligence. Why don't you sit down and look at them damn bars and see which way they need to go?
Oh, I get to look at them every week.
Hey, I done that stuff by accident in a weaker moment, and then you know, we run them cars about 5 or 6 months, and then we turned around and built a watch like each car, and that was it. That was a good car. But hell, I can't outrun anybody. No, CJ,
you'd probably be real happy to hear that my kid leaned on Rusty and took one of my cars and ran the bars on his car in the wrong direction, and the kid ran really well.
I think.
Well, you know, evidently, your kid is like my kid. He's smarter than I am.
Oh Lord, don't tell him that, CJ.
Oh no, gone off the rails.
Yeah.
Are you going to race this year?
Yes, sir.
Of course you are.
I told them at the banquet. Now, CJ, you got to understand. I have been at Oakshade Raceway every Saturday night for 35 years, and my car number is 35. And I told them I think that's it. Unless you see me with a number 36 on my car next year, figure that I'm not going to be doing every Saturday. We've got that outlaw car and you know, sideboards, and you've had plenty of experience with those, and I really enjoy running those, and I think we're going to hit a half a dozen or so of those. Like I say, I've got an outlaw car, and I ran it one time last year, and that
that's a lot of fun. I mean, you know, if you can, you know, run fast. I run up there. I love that Toledo track.
Oh, that was fun watching you there.
Well, they throwed beer cans, pop bottles, beer bottles. I even saw a jar of Limburger cheese come out and bounce off the hood once.
Jim McCune Sr. is a good friend of ours, and he used to win real frequently with his super modified or modified at Fremont Speedway, and he could tell when the fans were really pissed at him because they were throwing full cans of beer.
Oh yeah, I never got any of them. But and I didn't even want that Limburger cheese.
Kind of stinky.
Oh, I had fun, and you know, I don't know. I don't know. I enjoyed it so much, and you know, they'd enjoy me coming up there. You know, that guy told me once. You know, I pull in there and nobody in the pits, and you go start the races, and they'd start coming in. By the time the featured start, the damn place was full. And I know Sonny Adams, he got on the radio when I would be there, and he said, "Raber, you saved my day again." That made me feel good.
Yes, sir.
But I enjoyed racing and everything, and I enjoyed the little deal where we done the alcohol and what was this stuff we put with alcohol and mixed with gasoline?
Was it toluene? I forget what we had, but yeah.
Yeah.
And I never did understand, CJ, what you had that stuff in your trailer for anyway. Some people said that they used to use it for treating tires, but I never thought that was you.
No, I got that in a 55-gallon drum. No, it wasn't toluene. It was maybe some chemicals in it.
Yeah.
Whoops. Well, anyway.
That was back when I did that kind of stuff. Now I just go to the gas pump and.
Well, yeah, you can just put the E85 in. It works better.
Yeah.
But Moyer still does that, I think.
Yeah.
God, I can't think of that stuff.
Before I forget, there's a Run What You Brung show down southern Georgia or northern Florida next November. $10,000 to win. How about you put a car together and we'll go have some fun?
He said he's not doing that anymore.
I've been trying not to do that.
He could do a Run What You Brung show. Those are fun, Scott.
Okay.
Yeah, I know it. I'm having a little fun racing. These guys here, I'm watching them, and they do an awful good job.
So just because you're not going to be...
I didn't say they was perfect.
Well, that kid that's sitting next to you right now is a little hard-headed sometimes. And...
Well, that was my next word. They are a little hard-headed. But they do good. I guess I'd probably follow them. If a guy was behind me trying to chop my toes off, I'd probably help him. But they're good. I'm looking forward to them, and there's some stuff that I see I'd like for him to try. And I know as soon as he tries it, it'll be good. But I don't know. But
CJ, for years and years, everybody's looked at your rear suspension and thought that it was a little different. I don't think very many people understood how far advanced your front suspension and your geometry was. And it's just recently the guys are figuring that out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got a good reputation. And, and I respect that. We like to be, we'd rather be famous as rich.
Yeah, okay.
But it does have a good reputation. I see some things in it that might be a little bit better. You're not going to make it a whole lot better. And I don't know why they drive better. Hell, I just copied up a '66 Ford.
Yes, sir.
It's just a good, clean 90-degree front end. And but there's some other things there that I want to look into, and I'll keep an eye on these guys here if they have problems. You can about figure out anything, and but I'm behind them 100%.
So you're still involved in things. You're not getting out of it.
No, I'll be in it after I die.
I'm sure you will.
But you know what? I don't want to put it with customers. Well, I won't say that. I don't want to put up with employees and worry about them. And right now, it's hard to find good help. And I don't want to do that. I've got a lot of surplus stuff that we're trying to get rid of. I'm not going to slack off on my engine department. I got a real good engine department and all that stuff there. But there's a lot of cleaning up that needs to be done on the chassis. And, we may try to do that. I don't know as I'll ever build another car, but if I could get some of these hard-headed kids in here and show them what this does and what that does. But, I don't know why anybody don't sit down, especially you, could sit down and look at the watch linkage and look at the 4-bar.
Oh, I look at them.
And how in the hell a 4-bar runs as good as it did. But like I say, that thing is 34 years old, and you've had 20,000 people, engineering on it, so they've got to have it down pretty fast.
CJ, we got to get going. We've got some more stuff to cover on the show, but man, it was good talking to you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we weren't expecting that. It was very nice.
Yeah.
Legendary C.J. Rayburn.
Okay, Ron, and we thank you a whole lot. And I'll take care of this boy down here.
Yeah, please do. He needs a lot of help.
So you better help that kid that's got them watch linkage on his car, because that's the only choice you got.
CJ, I'm telling you, he ran really well the last half of the year after he and Rusty worked together.
Yeah, that's good. Well, okay, Ron, just don't get old on us.
No, I refuse to.
He's eternally young.
Okay. I'll get out of here and let you get back to business.
All right. Tell Rusty he's got to get a win next week at the Gateway Dirt Nationals for us, too.
Well, we're sitting here betting on him, and hopefully will. He's getting better, too.
He's a good racer, has been forever.
Oh, I know it.
What do you think of his new Domination race cars?
You know, he said it was just everything was about the same there. He had done some stuff, down around the back of it where it bolts on. That's probably a real good idea. And then he's tweaked a couple little things on it because the car, I believe the car's running better than his other car. And that he went down south there and done real good.
I saw some videos of his race down there, and he looked real good.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to talk to him about tar sealing up here in a few minutes.
Oh, no.
I've been around 100 years, Okay.
CJ, it's great talking with you, my friend.
Okay. All righty. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. CJ Rayburn. Are we coming back to Rusty, or are we hanging up here?
I'm here.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
There's Rusty. I wasn't sure if we were hanging up or not.
Boy, you darn near pushed that button, Scott.
I almost did. Well, I was just telling CJ to tell you, and I guess we'll just tell you directly. You better get a win then for us next week at
That's
Gateway.
The plan.
We're expecting nothing less.
All right, deal.
All right, thanks, Rusty, and good luck. We'll have to get a full recap after the first of the year, because next Tuesday,
sounds good.
Thursday's our last show. So happy holidays to you too.
All right, you guys too. Happy holidays. Thanks for having us on.
Yes,
all right,
sir.
thanks, Rusty.
All right,
bye.
Bye.
Well, Rusty Schlenk and CJ Rayburn there. All right, you never know what's going to happen.
When you said there was
show.
going to be a special guest, I
should have thought of that.
I guessed.
I didn't put those dots together. Well, I only have a couple other things to get to here before we wrap up the show, but I want to make sure that I win our how many, which was how many minutes the show was going to go tonight.
Did you go one more than me or one less?
I went 84, and I think we are we're approaching 80 in about 2 minutes. So, some other notes here. 2020 schedules are starting to come out for all the different series. World of Outlaw NOS Energy Drink Series have released theirs with more than 80 races in 24 states. There's going to be 6 stops at Eldora. That includes the Kings Royal and part of the Four Crown weekend. Attica is going to be hosting World of Outlaw race. The Brad Doty Classic will be July 14th. And as Brian Liskey indicated last week, that Eldora has picked up another that Wednesday following the Brad Doty Classic. So there's no rain date now.
Right, for the Doty Classic.
So they'll do what they did this past year. It'll become an all-star event. Labor Day weekend or whenever that race is.
Should it happen to
Should
rain.
it happen. Hopefully it won't.
But it's not gonna.
It's not gonna, yeah. The World of Outlaw Morton Building's late model 2020 schedule was also announced. No Michigan dates in a few Ohio races on that schedule, including Brush Creek Motorsports Complex, Moeller Raceway Park, Wayne County Speedway, Sharon Speedway, one event in Indiana at Tri-State Speedway. The 2020 Hell Tour Dirt Car Summer National schedule was announced.
I think there's a couple of holes that might get filled in on that too.
There's
nothing on July 4th weekend.
29 races in 33 days, starting June 16th at Brownstown Speedway in Indiana, and ending, of course, with the annual birthday race at Oakshade Raceway.
Oakshade with only one
July
date.
18th.
One date this year.
Yeah, not
Saturday.
a Friday and Saturday. The 3 races leading up to the finale are all in Michigan. with Butler being one of the new tracks.
I saw that.
That's going to be a Wednesday night show, that Wednesday before July 18th. Well, I didn't write the date down. Whatever that Wednesday is. Then Thunderbird on Thursday, and then Tri-City on Friday. And I saw on their schedule there's a little inconsistency here. That's Tri-City up in Michigan. There's a Tri-City in
Illinois.
Or Illinois. That's what it is, and that's what they have listed on their schedule there. If you actually go to the UMP,
not as of late tonight.
As of this afternoon.
Okay.
It's at Granite City, Illinois.
Yeah, about 5:30 tonight. It was.
They fixed it. They got the right.
Yes.
If tracks would come up with individual names like the Bert and Ernie Raceway, there's probably not another Bert and Ernie Raceway, but So
you forgot to mention.
Up in Michigan used to be Dixie.
Dixie. Yeah. There used to be. Is Auto City still up there? Was that?
Yeah, I think so.
Anyways, so that's the schedule. It'll be 3 Michigan races leading up to Oakshade for
Plymouth, Indiana, which is not that far away, starts that week off.
Okay. I didn't write down the whole schedule. Did you see this thing about North Wilkesboro Speedway? It's coming back to life, sort of.
Ish.
It's going to live on.
That's not racing.
Thanks in part to Dale Earnhardt Jr. Oh, I forgot to ask Frank Jiovani. I think he's into iRacing, the online racing stuff. Yeah. But anyways, Dale Earnhardt Jr. was spearheading an effort to have iRacing, that racing simulation software. It's not a game. It's a game, but it's software. To scan the track for their digital racing simulation. So he was up there cleaning that thing up, I guess, earlier this week.
Yeah.
And they scanned it.
And Dale Jr. is big into
didn't I see something
simulated racing?
If they brought a race back there, that he would race there, and Jimmy Johnson would also race there, come out of retirement or something. Yeah. Another note from this past weekend's Snowball Derby deal. Justin Bonnet, grandson of the late Neil Bonnet, was in a fiery crash. It sent him to the hospital with broken bones in his legs and burns to his hands, face, and neck. He underwent surgery Sunday morning, was moved out of the ICU earlier this week, and then I guess underwent a couple of additional surgeries for the burns and for his broken leg yesterday.
Yeah,
sounds like he's got a little.
I don't know if
little ways to go for recovery.
I don't know if you saw any videos, but it was just a horrendous crash.
Yeah.
And he was a victim of somebody else.
Nowhere to go.
Right.
Tony Stewart has acquired the UMRA King of TQ Midget Racing Series. He's rebranded it the All-Star Racing of Champions TQ Midgets.
Yep, 3/4 midgets.
TRD, Toyota Racing
Development,
is in the design phase of developing a sprint car engine to meet World of Outlaw regulations, hoping to have that ready by 2020 following in Tony Stewart's Ford.
Well, if they have a sprint car engine, how big of a stretch would it be for them to have a late model engine?
I don't know. I think we should call them.
I mean, you just take the tubes off the top of that motor, bolt a carburetor on, and go.
There you go.
Ooh.
Put that in your Outlaw.
I would.
Toyota?
In a heartbeat.
Toyota or Ford?
Whatever somebody wanted to donate.
Whatever's free, I'll take it. Next week on the show, we have our Sandusky Speedway champions coming in. Actually, we'll have most of them here in the studio.
I believe everybody.
And Chris Mize will also be here from Sandusky Speedway, race director out there, to talk about our next upcoming race in this area, the Hangover Race, scheduled for January 1st of 2020.
Yeah.
And Ron Miller will be trying to keep his son from
behind him
getting 2 wins in a row at that event. As Steve Miller upset the great Ron Miller at the last Hangover Race.
Well, and I guess I understand that Chuck Hummer is going to come back and try to complete more than 4 laps.
He probably should drive that like it's an asphalt track and not a dirt track.
Of course, I'll be there. My son Steve will be there. Jimmy Ward will be there, all in late models. Mark Kackenmeister with his late model with the sprint car wing on top. So there's at least 5 late models that I know are going to be there.
Dennis Whisman Sr. is looking for a ride.
Yeah.
So maybe we can help him out.
Maybe.
Maybe. So that's next week on the show. We will be back with the Sandusky folks. And that will be our last show of 2019.
The holidays jump up and...
Yeah. It's been another year. But we'll be back next Thursday, 7 o'clock, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter, Periscope.
111 in the can?
This was show number 111. Yeah, you were a little distracted with your headphones when we started. Yeah, this is show number 111. So next week will be 112. Make sure to listen to us on iHeartRadio, iTunes, Google Play, wherever.
Spotify.
Yeah, follow us on Twitter at Hammer Report, and like us on Facebook. And thanks to all of our guests tonight from Flat Rock, our Flat Rock champions were all great. Frank
Another
Jiovani,
great show, great guests.
Greg Studt and Dennis Whisman Jr. and Sr. We had a couple of unexpected guests. They pop up. Rusty Schlenk and CJ Rayburn.
It was great talking with CJ. we go back a ways.
Right. Well, with you, there's a few people you go back a ways.
Don't start.
Okay. So, all right. We'll see you next week. We're out of here.
Have fun, y'all.
To the Hammer Down Racing Report from the Ron Miller Race Car Studio. Listen on demand on iHeartRadio.